Thanksgiving. Probably my least favorite holiday, given how my family is in shambles after the death of my aunt, and the fact that not many people can actually cook the turkey the way I want it. On the positive side, I get a small break from work. And it's not to say that hasn't inspired me to do something. A few years ago, Lanipator and Kirran of TFS Gaming put their own list of games they were grateful for. I wanted to do something like that, but last year I forgot all about it until it was too late, and had to settle with doing an article on Operation Rainfall. And as it stands, I think I'm the only person who did a list that day. Fortunately, I am not forgetful this time, and managed to think of a list and write a script. And unlike with the script of our top 10 video game dogs, I didn't cry every time I highlighted a clip. Okay, now it's getting depressing, so let's just get on with it. Also, expect some repeats from that list I did because I'm a lazy bastard. However, here are some honorable mentions. Dragon Quest VIII and The World Ends With You. Both games were my first steps into diving into RPGs outside the Final Fantasy series, but still within Square Enix. And both have some stellar gameplay and stories. Unfortunately, that's about it. I still love them to death though. Mass Effect. I friggin' love this series, even more so than Star Wars. Unfortunately, while this is definitely my top 10 favorite series, and I am thankful that it exists, a lot of bad damage to the franchise has knocked it off just a tad. And Valkyria Profile. Again, another really close entry. I am thankful for the gameplay style that honestly helped contribute to crossover games like Namco x Capcom, and even the upcoming Indiegogo funded Indivisible. I'm sure if that game comes out and is amazing, it might make it back into this top 10. And with all that out of the way, let's begin. Number 10. Tekken IV. Back then, I hated fighting games. I was the kind of kid who would plug in a controller in the second player slot and then beat myself up. It wasn't until I played Tekken 3 did I split off from that, unlocking almost every single character, barring 4 of them. My favorite character at the time was King due to his powerful grappling moves, which helped ensure victory against the final bosses. Sadly, that game, along with many more, were stolen from me. Long story short, my dad's friend betrayed us and stole a ton of stuff I collected, and this was but the first of many bad luck incidents that made me want to see the world burn to the ground. Ever since then, I never bothered with fighting games besides the Dragon Ball Z Budokai series, and only because it was DBZ. At least until I got bored one day and tried out a game my dad's girlfriend bought, Tekken IV. While I had been used to playing with myself and the AI, I also noticed the story too, something I felt lacking in the third installment, and never recalled any other fighting games having it. I mean, I was aware of arcade stuff, which was basically Tekken 4, but never taken to a level like this, despite some bad voice acting at the time. Hey, I was a very open-minded kid back then, except when it came to food. I found it interesting with how the characters relate to one another with these fights. Through playing the game, I learned fighting games can indeed have some good stories, or at least good characters even if a story is insanely stupid. And let's face it, Tekken has gone off the rails several times, if Blood Vengeance was any indication. Tekken 4 ultimately helped me become much more open to fighting games, getting me into Soul Calibur, BlazBlue, and Guilty Gear. And not only that, but I'm far more eager to try them out to see what tales a character has. Just don't expect me to turn up at a tournament. Number 9. Dynasty Warriors Gundam. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the game series that got me back into the Gundam franchise. At this time, I had just got the Xbox 360 to get an internet connection, downloaded a demo of the game, and the rest is history. My childhood was very tech deprived, so finding series beyond just G and Wing was mind-blowing, making me more and more curious about them all. I kept buying these games too as I loved the character interactions, and a bit sad that the trio of Domo, Miliardo, and Puro never popped up ever again. I even grew to love Gundam Double Zeta despite how much the series is hated too. Believe me, I know that the first few episodes suck until Rue arrives, and even then some episodes are hit and miss. I really recommend the third game as well, as the gameplay is almost perfect for me there. I even used a free Gamefly membership to play it over the summer. I was that into it, and I was also that broke too. Sure, Gundam Versus has better gameplay, at least from what I saw of the beta, but I can never forget the awesomeness of this series, and pray the next entry will be better than the last, no matter the Gundam game. Also, give me more Judo and Rue moments, goddammit! Number 8. God of War. Also known as the game that introduced me to sex in video games, and made an internetless smartest moron a very happy teenager. Yeah, I heard about the hot coffee mod, but again, no computer, and I do not like Grand Theft Auto. But that's not why I'm thankful for this game, mostly. Rather, I am thankful for God of War as it helped me improve my skills when it came to puzzle solving. Back then, not many games made me think too much, and it was only in the PS2 era where I was finally starting to get into games more. And I admit, I was usually given a guide when it came to playing RPGs. so trying to go through a mental challenge was rare. At least it was until I finally played this game with no help whatsoever. Not even from my friends in high school who were equally stumped by some of these puzzles. There were plenty of cases of me being confused, like knowing I had to use the Gorgon's head to freeze Minotaurs to escape a certain room, or try to find a hidden elevator under some statues under the water. Even trying to climb a rotating pillar with blades was... okay, no, that one can go fuck itself. Still though, it was a great tool to help me think, and I will be thankful for that. Number 7. Resident Evil 4. Despite lacking the internet, I did have G4 at the time, and good freaking god, I never stopped hearing the praises of Resident Evil 4. But I was a huge wimp of horror games, so me picking it up was really damn rare. Combined with my inability to handle puzzles without a guide, you can probably guess how well I would have done. But I managed to beat God of War at the time, so I was feeling confident to borrow a copy of the game and beat it. Then I began to feel fear and start screwing up constantly. Not helped when people are trying to kill me while also shouting in Spanish. And growing up with a family that spoke Spanish only when angry at me, mostly, it kept bringing back more and more fears. Not helped with the likes of chainsaw assholes, the goddamn giants, the... whatever the hell those things that sprout when an enemy is shot in the head too much, and of course, those unforgiving and terrifying regenerators. Every time I hear that sound... I must force myself to remain calm so I don't wet my pants. That's actually why I'm thankful for the game. This was the game that forced me to remain calm in the face of danger. After my first failed run, I realized I needed to conserve ammunition and play smarter than I had. Yet also learned to take chances and stop being scared of being killed in the game. I'm not gonna say I became an expert, because I was still plenty scared and had not even encountered the regenerators at the time. But this was the game that definitely helped make me realize that so long as I remain calm and have a weapon, I am capable of so much more than I give myself credit for. And remember, I said with a weapon, like hell I'm touching certain other games without a goddamn gun. Number 6. The Smackdown vs. Raw series. Yeah, this one's a bit of a strange one. If there was ever a way me and my friends killed time, aside from looking up porn on HBO or other programs, it's with this wrestling series on the PS2. It's one of the only sports games I ever enjoyed. No, scratch that, it's the only sports game I ever enjoyed, and played on a daily basis. Me and my friends even bought the game in a pattern, like he would get the 2005 edition, I would get the 2006 edition, etc. That pattern did keep up until I entered college, and the sad decline for these games began as well. Not made any better as I keep hearing how bad the newer games are. Though the customization does seem to be good. I'm thankful for this series because it was the one game that brought everyone together, even my parents sometimes. It even helped me bond with my little cousin until he had to move away due to the death of my Aunt Carmen. One thing that never made us fail to laugh was falling from the Hell in a Cell cage. How can you not? We would even mess up our own matches just to see the hilarious results. It was a nice comfort tool as well, as I did keep growing sad at the loss of Eddie Guerrero, so it was good to enjoy one more storyline with him. Sure, he was a heel, and it was a weird one given it was about death in an urn in The Undertaker. Man, the timing on that was weird. But it was entertaining as hell even to this day. It was the one scenario where I would willingly turn heel. Now, if someone could just make these games good again. Number 5. Devil May Cry 3. I give you the confidence booster of my life, the game that helped me spur me on to beating other games in the first place. You know, once I got over 2 certain games. Once again, I have my friend to thank for this as he simply gave me all 3 games, while I had to buy the special edition to play as Virgil. I will talk more about Devil May Cry in a future review, so I'm gonna be brief about this one. Well, as brief as I can anyway. The reason I'm thankful for this game is helping me become better in terms of gameplay, and even a bit more confident. Not completely, since I still suffer from depression, am very antisocial, and hate humanity so much that I hope Cthulhu finally ends us all. But enough that I was willing to try out other games at least. I even tried Ninja Gaiden, only to not like it as much, but still, I tried, damn it! And I will admit it's mostly because I suck horribly at that game. This game was brutally hard thanks to a screw up when bringing it over, which made the normal mode into hard mode. So as the game was constantly kicking my ass, there was always that little nagging feeling of the game saying, "What's the matter? Only gotta see this time. What's wrong, bitch boy? You gonna let style and profile all over your face? Are you a man or are you a mouse? At which point I practiced like I never practiced before, finally getting S ranks, and taking down those bosses much easier. Sometimes. Due to not playing the games in years though, I began to suck hard, especially as I'm trying to do this review, but I've gotten a bit better. At the very least, normal mode is actually fairly easy until the halfway point. And Dante was a fantastic motivator as well, as I wanted to emulate his cool and dorky style. He's still one of my favorite heroes to this day, and to display an astonishing amount of competence, as well as generally being likable, the gameplay made me want to become him. That was the goal really, to surpass Dante himself. Still, letting the reboot affect me so negatively so much that I sold the games, honestly that was extremely disrespectful to my friend and the series as a whole. It's one thing to hate a game, especially since I still loathe the reboot, but for it to let me take my view on the older games was just stupid, and I was only hurting myself. I love you, Devil May Cry 3. Number 4. Senran Kagura Burst. I gotta admit, I never expected to love this series as much as I do now. Had I chosen to do only the Hanzo route, I likely would have dropped the game, found it a nice distraction, especially because of boobies, and moved on to other titles. But I didn't. Instead, I moved on to the Hebijou route and well, I was left stunned in a very positive way. Homura's team in the Hebijou route felt vastly different from the one-note villains I saw before, each one having interesting stories and interactions with the cast. Even their rivalries changed somewhat, like with Ikaruga and Yomi actually understanding one another rather than it being one-side hatred. Adding to this was great conflicts within the team, such as Haruka and Homura fighting over their ideologies regarding the power of friendship and power, which helped contribute to their development even more. Be sure to check out my video on Homura to find out why that worked, wink wink nudge nudge. I'm thankful to this game and the Versus series that spun off from this, for making me invested into it despite all the fan service. It showed that even with a game so blatantly advertised for one audience, might have more to it, sometimes. Despite some gameplay problems I have with the series, I look forward to each game that comes out. I even made 3 videos on the series for crying out loud. It helped me with my motivation with making videos, and I will be eternally thankful for that as well. While I haven't fully embraced fan service games, as some like Valkyria Drive and Drive Girls really don't have that much good story to them, this is one I'm willing to defend until my dying breath. Or until someone just tells me about Riona from Estival Versus and ruin every single argument I can make. Yeah, we will talk about that one day. Number 3. Chrono Cross. This might surprise you, but I wasn't into RPGs that much until I was almost in high school, around 7th grade. In fact, because I was such a coward and afraid of losing, I spoke about that with the fighting game stuff, I avoided RPGs because my standard gameplay approach was, well, this.
I figured it out. We just need to hit them really, really hard.
The cause of my fear was mostly seeing a friend of mine play Final Fantasy VIII and always seeing Rinoa die due to a certain battle he couldn't win yet. So little me sees that and goes, yeah, that's really damn terrible. Poor lady. Then poor me as I one day played 8 and I don't have fond memories of it, although I was able to actually beat that fight fairly easily. Then Chrono Cross came into my life, as I was interested after seeing a commercial on WWE. No, seriously, that happened once, back when games had some limelight on TV commercials beyond just shooters. I sadly didn't explore Chrono Trigger until I was in high school, so odds are if I play Chrono Cross now, I doubt it may hold up too well. Hell, technically I did for a bit and realized how easy it was, but more on that on a future review. Even so, I still have nothing but good memories of this game, amplified by the incredible music. No game soundtrack has attached me to certain moments, and I even cried during one segment of the game. It also got me into writing fanfiction and writing in general. I feel very embarrassed of what I've written before, and pray to God none of you ever find that account, but without the passion to write, I may never have gotten into writing reviews, let alone focusing on stories of games too. Chrono Cross was a gateway to a ton of things in my life, and I am very thankful for that. Now, if only this series wasn't neglected. I think you're starting to see a pattern with these games here, huh? But then again, after Final Fantasy XIII and how incomplete 15 is, do I really want another entry in this series? Number 2. Shin Megami Tensei 3. Nocturne. Finally, I get to talk about Shin Megami Tensei positively. Though do be warned of major spoilers and click here to skip to number 1. Because yeah, I'm going to be spoiling the hell out of this game. This is probably one of my favorite games of all time, barring some bullcrap moments, like the instant death spells killing an entire run just before hitting a save point. I love this one primarily on story since, at the time, I was used to less complicated plots, mostly focusing on basic good and evil. And at first glance, it certainly seemed that way, as you control a young boy who's transformed into the Demi-Fiend, survives the apocalypse, and must first learn how to change the world back to normal, all the while finding your friends. The story, however, shows that the friends you want to save have been corrupted by this world, going insane and becoming villains of their own. It's a battle of ideologies, with not all of them quite evil in the technical sense, well, except Chiaki, who is more survival of the fittest and begins to slaughter instant demons. Yeah, I think she counts as evil. The Demi-Fiend is losing everything in this world, and it honestly feels like the worst possible situation anyone can be in. But it's why I love the neutral ending, as it shows Naoki holding on to what makes him human. It's also why I reject the true demon ending. I didn't endure all that heartbreak and pain of this world just to work with the devil. I played and fought for what I wanted, which was the return of the normal world and the friends. The true demon ending to me is a sign of submission, a sign of giving up hope. It's the easy way out. By going against such dark temptations, it makes the Demi-Fiend a character I could look up to, as I wish I had that kind of patience for people, to still see good in a world filled with blood and darkness. However, my views on the character have shifted a lot since then, with Atlus constantly pushing the true demon ending as the canonical version of the character. It's a shame too, but I'll discuss my full feelings when I review Nocturne one day. For now, I'm still thankful for it no matter what Atlus does with it. Now if you'll excuse me, I need to save up for a Nintendo Switch for Shin Megami Tensei 5 because I am a whore for Shin Megami Tensei and will suck its Mara all day long. And the final game I am thankful for is Valkyria Chronicles 3. Oh yeah, you probably knew this game was going to make the list. I mean, just look at the thumbnail, for crying out loud. I said this before, but 2015 was a hard time for me. Probably the worst year of my life. My aunt, who was practically like a mother, died. Then so did my grandpa, and then finally my dog Rex. With the last death, I fell into a deep depression, falling behind in my schoolwork so much that I had to withdraw from 2 classes. Not helping things was this asshole of a teacher thinking I forged a fake pamphlet for my aunt's death, and I nearly threw him out a window, but I restrained myself. Mainly because I don't like going to prison. Every time I thought about my dog or my aunt, all I could do was cry. So I devoted myself to constant work, trying to do something to take my mind off of it so I could focus. At least until I started to play more of Valkyria Chronicles 3. I was surprised at how invested I was in the story. For those who haven't seen the review, the game follows Kurt Irving, a recent graduate of the Lance Hill Military Academy in Gallia who was put into a penal squad, the Nameless, for treason. He did nothing to warrant it, however, much like a lot of the people in the squad, barring a few certain people. From then on, he has to prove his innocence by undergoing near-suicidal missions while earning the respect of his comrades to actually, complete the missions. What follows was a gripping story, each character likable and interesting, even gaining side stories to expand more on them. The villains, a group called Calamity Raven, was also interesting with how their leader wasn't some random douchebag out for power. He did have legitimately good goals with great teammates, carrying a charisma to him, but how that all fell apart is both sad and intriguing. It was leagues above the original Valkyria Chronicles story, at least in my opinion, and made me sadder we never got it. Though on the other hand, I found it at the right time I needed to. Nocturne may have taught me how to think more about a story, but Valkyria Chronicles 3 taught me to keep pushing myself and live again despite all the death happening around me. It's why I dedicate myself to months playing it and reviewing it. Still, you might be wondering which incident pushed me towards reviewing it. I'll give you a hint. His name rhymes with dump. But regardless, I'm very thankful for the Valkyria Chronicles 3 series. And with how good this game is, it made me excited about Valkyria Revolution. Yeah, you're getting a video on that one. I'll give you a hint, it's not very positive. And that wraps things up for this video. There are a ton more, like I said, honorable mentions, but I don't think I could talk at great length about them. I am the smartest moron, and thank you for watching. And spend time with your families! Fuck Black Friday! Seriously, you can find better deals online. Enough said.